You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 18th show. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding money. I'm here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online to themoneyhour.com, discuss anything, questions that you have regarding money, economy. Again, it's all about having a better quality of life for you and your family. Right now in studio, I have Kathy Morrow with RE/MAX Performance Plus Real Estate, and we're going to be having a conversation about the real estate market, local in the area that you specialize in. Kathy, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And a little bit about Kathy. Kathy's been selling real estate since 1997. She specializes in residential sales in the South King County and North Pierce County, and is part of the RE/MAX Hall of Fame. Kathy has been awarded from Seattle Magazine 5-Star Professionals and is a CRS Certified Resident Specialist, APR Accredited Buyers Representative, and SRES Senior Real Estate Specialist. So, Kathy, just starting out my time with you to share with my listeners, what is the seller's market seller's market houses and condos still selling so fast, and what are you seeing in the market as you're working with the buyers and sellers right now?
It is still a hot market. It is not quite as hot as it was, but it's acting like a normal year. I work mostly the South King County and North Pierce County areas, and it is not the same as the Seattle market. Seattle market, they've been selling more houses per month than they're listing, and the southern part of the Puget Sound area, we're not quite that fast. And they hear that everything is selling in a minute.
Yeah.
It's taken 3 or 4 or 5 days versus 1.
Really?
But it's such a different market. When it used to be 30 days was fast. And now if your house isn't ready in the first 3 days on the market, you've missed it.
Yes. So are you seeing a lot of multiple offers in your area that you sell a lot in?
Yes, particularly if I represent the buyers, which I do, half buyers and half sellers. It is very common. And the only time it's not common is if the house isn't ready. If the seller has not done their prep, so the minute it hits the market, it's ready to sell, they open their doors or make their doors available for the buyers to come in, they're still seeing that fast market.
Yes.
But if they restrict the hours, restrict other conditions, it's not quite such the hard market.
Got it. Kathy, what about the summer market change?
Well, we have a normal year. We started out rainy, which means we begin to build our market with into the spring. It peaks. We seem to have peaked. We've seen outrageously priced homes compared to what they were in the recent past. And some of that is just one particular house in a particular neighborhood. But we, in the Northwest, we like our summers. We've had our rainy, depressing weather, and now, there's a few days here and there without the sun, but it's summer.
Yeah.
So we take time to enjoy the weather, and although the market may slow, it's been such a heated market, maybe we won't have 5, 6, 10, 20, 100 offers on a particular house.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have 1, 2, or 3. You only need one qualified buyer to make that work. But the buyers and the sellers are not going away. But come September, we're going to tick back up, and it's going to be off and running again, which is normal.
Yeah, and I really wish that we could get to a normal market, because this craziness is it's craziness, and it's challenging for everyone involved. It's challenging for the realtors. It's challenging for the buyers. Okay, maybe not challenging for the sellers, except they just have to figure out which one of all these offers they want to take. But so, how would you describe a normal year? Well, normal year, normal market.
We have a new normal. The normal year, like I said before, it starts out a little slower in January. Our prices begin to build. March, it starts going crazy and goes steady and through May and probably June. And then we're kind of steady on prices. And then in the fall, we kind of continue. May take a slight dip after the election this year probably. And then back again in January, get our price increase. I think we're talking about the market and how fast it can go. Again,
Yes.
It depends on that seller's prep. If the seller has done their job of getting it ready, then it will sell. But then we've got the buyer that needs to do their job too.
Yes.
And in the recent history, I found some of the buyers have gone on to these great online pre-approval process, only to discover they're not approved for anything.
Yeah.
And they need to go back to traditional mortgage reps such as Tina, who can actually get them pre-approved all the way through underwriting.
Yes.
So that when they need to make an offer on a house they've seen 2 hours ago, and if they don't make the offer, they will lose the property. They need to be all the way through underwriting, because sometimes they're not even putting financing contingencies into offers. They're not doing appraisals. They're not doing anything that will protect their financial interest. And if they have put all this out, including non-refundable earnest money,
Yeah.
most of my clients can't afford to throw that money away.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really important to listen to what Kathy's saying. If you're a buyer, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared on what you're willing and not willing to do as well, and understand what the risks are when you start waiving some of these contingencies. And the approval process, yes, having a solid approval from pre-approval from underwriting is a must, but also it's a must to understand what that pre-approval really means. The pre-approval is based and subject on the information provided at loan application, which means if you have any changes to your financial situation, it's going to be adjusted. And so understanding how that really works is a key part of it as well. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Kathy. So record sales in May,
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
So the records that I looked at since year 2000, we had the highest amount, higher than 2007, 6, all those years happened in May, at least in the King County, Puget Sound area.
Okay.
Substantially more, well,
Yeah.
maybe 300 or 400 than the highest ever. But that says something about our supply and demand.
Yes.
There is no supply. And as scary it is for those buyers trying to buy a house and everything else, it's scary for those sellers.
Yes.
What if they don't have a place to go?
Yeah.
Their house sells that first day on the market, and they have to plan to go somewhere else. And it's not a question of if it will sell, it's what price it's going to sell for.
Yes.
So it is all good, but yet all scary.
So we know we're not short on buyers. We've got plenty of those. We know we're not short on money. I mean, interest rates are historical low, new norm, but historical low, getting ready to hit another one, as Matthew said. Banks are lending. They're not lending in a risky way, but they're lending. What we're short is we're short the sellers. We're short the properties. And so there's always going to be that balance and it's missing something. So it's taking advantage of the areas that you can. So what does a seller need to do right before they're putting their home on the market, Kathy? How are you advising your sellers?
Well, pricing it right. That's one thing that matters in any market. You price a home in the Northwest, we're a polite society. We believe that you want the price for your home. So if it's priced too high, we're not going to sell it. If it's priced too low, if you don't get lucky and get that multiple offer, you might leave money on the table and have a reason to sell. But I really tell them to get ready to, landscaping's got to be perfect. The staging's got to be perfect. The smell, it has to smell awesome. And they have to leave and make it available and be prepared for that shock of how many offers might be in front of their face or not. And figure out where they're going to move. Yeah. Because they are moving.
Yes.
You know, a few years ago, they may not have had that option of having to move someplace, but now it's going to happen.
So just like the buyers, the sellers need to be prepared. They need to be strategic on what they're doing, regardless of the fact that they can get buyers out there. There's plenty of them, but it's about maximizing your profit. So pre-inspections, how do you feel about them? How are you coaching on the buyer side and the seller side about pre-inspections?
The pre-inspections is a two-edged sword. The poor buyers, if they really want a property and they want to get a pre-inspection, they could have to do several.
Yes.
And if they truly do not have the potential of actually owning the house, they could easily spend, $4,000 on these pre-inspections without having it to happen. I don't always recommend them, even though in Seattle they say, waive this, waive that. I've been in this business a while. I'm going to have these same buyers and the same sellers a few years from now, and they're going to come back and say they've got a sound property at a good investment, and not hear about one I have listed now. They didn't even know they had LP siding. They need to know what they're buying.
Definitely.
To protect their investment. And the sellers, I was at an inspection not inspection. I watched somebody getting a pre-inspection done for them. I was showing another buyer. This inspector was out at the house. He was pulling apart the attic vent and showing them inside because it was an older house and so it would have that kind of vent. But he didn't put it back. He said, oh, the seller's going to put that back. How many of those inspectors are going to come out and damage the property?
Yes.
So great as pre-inspection may sound, you may have a sound buyer, it may not be a sound choice for your house.
Yes, a good point. And I want to get back on what you said with the buyers and the cost of it. I think, you again, making a decision on what you're willing to do, how much money you're willing to go. But if you're willing to spend some, just, look at that. If you are doing pre-inspections, look at that as part of the cost of doing a loan. And if you're there's going to be costs that you're going to lose, but if you keep at it, a home will come together. So budget whatever that's going to be, and that's just an additional closing cost. You look at what happens if you keep missing out on properties, what it's going to ultimately end up costing you. That $4,000 won't look so bad, right?
Oh, it may not look so bad.
May not look so bad. So we got a minute here, and I got to wrap up. But just one advice: you've talked about buyers and how they need to prepare with pre-approval. Another tip for them as I wrap up my time with you, Kathy.
Well, just be available. I mean, the properties are coming on the market, and you've got to be available to see it. You can't wait. Oh, I want to see that property in 2 or 3 days. You've got to see it now. You may not have the opportunity to think about it, and yet many sellers are asking you to wait to put your offer in. And some buyers don't want to be the guinea pig and put their offer in and have it be what they used to beat. But sometimes sellers don't wait for that deadline. They see an offer that looks good enough, and they'll take it. So my advice is to make their offer what they're comfortable with. I mean, they may be able to go back and do an escalation clause or come back and improve their offer, but to put their best foot forward now, and maybe the seller will decide to take their offer and not wait another 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So for all you buyers out there and sellers as well, I mean, Kathy works with both of them, but I want to end this with the buyers is really having an expert that can walk you through the process, because every offer is different. We obviously know every market's different, but even in this market right now, every offer you're going to make is going to be different depending on what the seller's needs are, what market or what area that you're purchasing in, what you're willing to do and not willing to do as far as these contingents Kathy was talking about. So really meeting with an expert is so important. Kathy, how do my listeners get a hold of you?
Oh, you can find me online, kathymorrow.com, or of course, cell phone 206-295-9503. And I do try and answer and get back to every client as soon as they call. I do, however, life. So if I miss you, I will get back to you.
It's all good. You can always go to the Money Hour as well and catch Kathy there online, catch her segment if for any reason you missed it. And Kathy, thank you so much for coming back and joining me in studio.
Thank you.
This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day, saying goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will be here same time, same place next Saturday right here on 1150 AM at KKNW.